Hello, and welcome back to the ASUN show. This is a different voice than you're used to hearing, but it's me, Judge. This has been just a crazy week, and we haven't been able to get all three hosts together to record, so it's just going to be me tonight. And hopefully, this will be a little abbreviated, a little faster paced, and we'll be able to move through this quickly. But I'm glad you're here with me. It's way past my bedtime, and I'm probably going to mess up a lot, but let's get this going. So, week 7 was pretty eventful in the ASUN. And our game of the week was my game, Kennesaw State hosting Florida A&M. This was the first game to finish. It was a Speedy Boy matchup here, and it was really a good game until the very end. So scoreless first quarter, pretty defensive going on, pretty strong defensive showing going on early. I was able to take a 7-point lead at halftime, but Florida A&M got the ball back in the third quarter and tied it up. And, about halfway through the fourth quarter, it was still tied 14-14. And by some random events, some luckiness on my side, I was able to reel off 17 points at the very end to seal the victory. I was pretty happy to rebound after my loss to Jacksonville, and it's really been a tough sled, tough sled here for Florida A&M as they've dropped a few games recently. They dropped to 1-3 in conference, and it was a really good game. Kind of was soured at the end with a runaway there, but yeah, it was a good game, and I believe it was fitting for game of the week. Moving on, FCS game day was a top 15 matchup. Number 3 Stetson reaching its highest ranking of the season after a 5-1 start, hosting the Campbell Camels, ranked number 15 in the country. Campbell had been struggling as of late, but really wanted to prove themselves and stay alive in a very competitive division against the Hatters. Once again, this is another defensive first half, very close, but Campbell struck first and kept the foot on the gas in the second quarter, staying just ahead of Stetson there. And you can see the 3 turnovers were really big there. Stetson was able to hold the ball and move the ball, but couldn't really cash in when it was needed. And Campbell pulled the unlikely upset against Stetson. And, you know, I think what really contributed to the chip on the Camel's shoulder was, the 4 hosts last week who they all picked Stetson. So, I think they came out with a little bit of extra fire, and Campbell is right there, back in it in the Dawn Division, 3-1, tied for second place. So this is a setback for Stetson. They reached number 3, and I'm sure they wanted to stay up there, but at 2-2, it's not great, but they're still in the thick of things. This is a good game and well deserving of the national spotlight. Next game we'll cover is the Dusk Division leader, Alabama A&M. After starting 0-2, they have really just come alive with 5 straight wins. The latest 27-7 over Chattanooga. Chattanooga also has had a good start to the season, but this was some defensive performance here by Alabama A&M. They only gave up 7 points, 217 yards, and they forced 6 turnovers. That's a good job by A&M, but also I have to think it's just poor luck by Chattanooga. Alabama A&M, got 10 points on the board and was only up by 6 at halftime, but really Chattanooga just could not get anything going, and Alabama A&M ended up shutting the door at the end. As you can see there on the win probability graph, it was not that close, but Chattanooga still had chances throughout the game. So chalk this up to bad luck for those 6 turnovers, I believe, but still shouldn't take away from a great dominating defense of the Bulldogs. That keeps Alabama A&M at the top of the Dusk and kind of puts Chatty behind the 8 ball at 2-2. But we'll see how it goes from here on out. There's plenty of chances in the last 4 weeks of conference play. Next, we have North Alabama against Alabama State. North Alabama. This is a barn burner here, and I want to start off by offering my condolences to the residents of Florida. The residents of Florence, Alabama, and the students at UNA. Heard about the passing of your mascot, Una, a 17-year-old lioness. Passed away Tuesday after a brief illness, and so we're thinking about all of you up there in Florence. But yeah, this was a really great game. North Alabama has really, Wally, the coach there, has really turned it on after a slow start, picking up from Matt in week 2. In conference play, UNA has just been money. They're now 3-1. They took an early lead on Alabama State, and that proved to be enough in the end. Alabama State, the Hornets, they mounted a comeback in the third quarter. You can see that spike there where it got a little dicey there for a little bit for the Lions, but 14 straight points unanswered to end the game, 46-30. It's a big Lion win. Methodical rushing attack, just 359 yards on the ground. That was something to see, but the time of possession was pretty equal. It's pretty rare you see it that close. Now Alabama State is 2-5 after starting 2-0. They're winless in conference, and the only hope they have for the rest of the season is probably just playing spoiler to any team they can. So hopefully they can rebound and finish strong. But what a season it's been for UNA in conference. Still alive at 3-1 and controls their own destiny moving forward, even with an overall record of only 3-2. Now we've got the number 1 team in the land, Bethune-Cookman. They went up to Jacksonville, as that's north of Daytona, and faced a Dolphins squad who just came off of a huge upset of number 3 Kennesaw State at the time. Dolphins have proven to be a tough out for any team. Youngstown State or Butler. They beat Kennesaw State, and they've had just so many close games. Pello at Bethune-Cookman was able to get out to a 2-touchdown lead at halftime and really stuffed the Jacksonville offense early. But Jacksonville found its way back a little bit, finding some success, scored 14 points in the third quarter, and very nearly came back and tied it. They came up just short in the end, and Bethune-Cookman was able to hold on for the win and avoid the upset. But it really is a testament to the BCU defense. They're not really a shutdown unit, but they really are frustrating and can be really demoralizing. Very good at forcing turnovers, as you can see. It was a little bit of a sloppy game. The Dolphins had 4 turnovers and BCU had 2 turnovers, but this is a very entertaining game to watch at the end, and I know that a lot of people are sad to see Jacksonville unable to capitalize on the momentum they had last week, and they fall to 2-2, and so their prospects are looking grimmer and grimmer as we move forward. But hats off to Bethune-Cookman. 7 straight wins to start the season, 4-0, and atop the Dawn division, the most competitive division in fake football. Now we move on to Johnson City, Tennessee, where the Buccaneers of ETSU played host to the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. There's not much to say about this one. They got until about halfway through the second quarter. ETSU unable to muster any offense. They turned the ball over once, and in a short game like that can be killer. They also attempted a field goal to try to get on the board and just couldn't get on there. It only took 1 touchdown for the Gamecocks to win. These are 2 of our lesser active coaches, and but they're good guys, and so we hope they can pick up their activity moving forward. But Nonetheless, a good win for Jacksonville State to sort of stay alive there at 2-2. If they had dropped to 1-3, it would have been a little dire there. But they still have somewhat of a shot there in conference. ETSU, on the other hand, has just been a disaster in ASUN play. They're now 0-4. Now we move on to the last game in Week 7. Samford traveling to Macon. The number 25 Bears trying to hold on to that ranking. They come in to this game 1-2 in conference with a good overall record, but really needing to survive here to stay in the Dawn division. That's very competitive. Samford has been reeling as of late. They had a big win against Alabama State in Week 6 to break a losing streak, but they really need to keep it rolling if they want to do anything this season. This was Mercer got out ahead 7-0 in the first quarter, but Samford battled back and took the lead 10-7 going into the fourth quarter, and it looked like there for a second the Bulldogs would come out victorious, but Mercer got 10 quick points and survived a last-minute drive by the Bulldogs. Samford had the ball with the chance to win to tie it up at the end, but they couldn't get it done. This was a really good defensive game. It was a slower paced, just grind the ball out game, even though Mercer had 164 passing yards. But it was a good gut check for Mercer and way to survive there for them. And, continuing, this is the one interdivision game of the week. The Dawn beats the Dusk again, and we'll see if that continues because that's been the trend so far. The Dawn really just has beaten the crap out of the Dusk this season, and it's not really a slight at the Dusk. It's just been how good the Dawn has been this season. As you can see, if you were watching this game, paying attention to it, your heart rate kind of went up and down there. It was quite a fun watch. But yeah, so that is your Week 7 in the ASUN Conference. I may have went through it pretty quickly, but it's way past my bedtime and I'm ready for sleep, so I'm just going to keep on rolling. We move into the standings here in the Dust Division. You have your leader, Alabama A&M, who has won 5 straight games and is undefeated in conference at 4-0. In second place is the unlikely team you would think would be there, but it's North Alabama at 3-1, solidly in second place. Third place, you got Jacksonville State at 2-2, and those are probably your contenders for now. Those 3 teams. Tied for fourth is Samford and Chattanooga at 1-3 apiece, and then rounding out the bottom of the standings in the Dusk is ETSU and ASU, both winless at 0-4. So we've kind of narrowed down a few teams in that division who have a chance. In the Dawn, it's a little bit trickier. So at first, we have the number 1 team in the country, undisputed, almost unanimous, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, 7-0 overall, 4-0 in conference. In second place, we've got Kennesaw State and Campbell tied at 3-1. And then in fourth place, we've got a 3-way tie. Mercer, Jacksonville State, or no, just Jacksonville, and Stetson are all 2-2. Florida A&M is in last at 1-3, and it's really quite unfortunate because they're a really decent team and they've had some good wins this season, but when you're going up against the other teams in the division, it's really tough, and so 1-3 is only good enough for last place here. So we've got a little bit more scenarios here that could play out in the Dawn, and it'll be really interesting to see how it all plays out because I know that I can speak for my sake. Kennesaw State, we play Bethune-Cookman, Campbell, and Mercer 3 of the last 4 weeks of the season, so things really shake out and it's going to be a lot of fun. Now we'll move on to the power rankings. We got 7 ballots this week, and not too much change. The biggest change The biggest movers I would say is Stetson moving from 2 to 6, and then North Alabama moving from, I believe, 11 to 8. I believe that's right, but I'll just go down through here. Bethune-Cookman, unanimous, 7 first place votes. Kennesaw State moves up into second place. You've got Alabama A&M, Campbell, Mercer, and Stetson. Those are your 5 and 2 teams there, 3 through 6. Chattanooga sits there at 7th at the bottom of the top half. North Alabama moves all the way up to 8 after some really impressive showings in conference play. They're second in their division, so they might be 3 and 4, but they're at the top of the 3 and 4 teams. Jacksonville State is seeing a bit of a renaissance here. They're up to 9. Florida A&M at 10. Samford 11. Jacksonville 12 after the loss to number 1. And then East Tennessee State and Alabama State round out the bottom 2. ETSU, I think we had a lot of hopes for them, but the 0-4 start in conference has really not impressed the voters, so they're down there at 13. But this is your power rankings, and I wish I had someone else to chime in, but it's just me. So, but that's fine. It was a rough week. All right, so now we'll move into some awards, and they'll be pretty similar, both of our awards. So, Player of the Week, Xadius McQuivers, the young sophomore corner out of Lilburn, Georgia, playing for the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. He had one interception and not much of note statistically to his name so far this season, but against Chattanooga in that defensive performance, he intercepted the ball 3 times and ran one of them back for a touchdown, and had 2 other pass breakups. So, Xadius McQuivers, congratulations, you've won this week's Player of the Week, and I know Coach Ampersand is really proud of his team and this young star that's rising up on his defense. Speaking of the Alabama A&M defense, they also went our Sunny D of the Week, and the stove in my house right now is on, and we've got a pot full of OJ boiling up right for you right now. 6 turnovers. That was just nuts. You may attribute it to luck, or you may attribute it to just smothering defense. Really good number picking over there, ampersand. And so, congratulations to you. You sweep the awards this week. So, well done. All right. Now we'll move into predictions. The other 2 hosts, Ampersand and Slolo, are not here this week, but they were kind enough to submit their picks to me, so I'll be going through these games, and I'll give you their picks, and then I'll give you my picks as well. So we might as well get started. The game of the week this week was voted on, and the winner is Wofford at number 11 Campbell. That's another thing. I'm doing this at a time when after the coaches poll has come out, so we'll have rankings on here this time. Wofford's 4 and 3, and traveling to Campbell. And I guess I should take a step back and say this is week 8 is our week. We're doing the ASUN CFC Challenge, so Charleston Southern's the other commish in that league, and this will be a fun, friendly rivalry here we get to do here in week 8, and I'm really excited about it. But back to Wofford and Campbell. Just give a little background. Wofford has reeled off 3 straight wins after starting 1 and 3, and they are 2 and 2 in conference play in CFC, so they have turned into a more respectable opponent for Campbell than we thought they would earlier. Campbell has won 2 games in a row against Chattanooga and Stetson, and is looking to continue that run he's got going on. So Ampersand picks Campbell, Slolo picks Campbell, and since I am picking last, I get to bring out the brooms, and I will also pick the Camels. I, my reasoning for this is I think we've just got we got I don't know, we got last week. We all picked against Campbell, and he proved us wrong. So you know, consider this payback, I guess, Humpy. And so yeah, clean sweep. We were gonna pick Campbell to win, but Wofford may give us some trouble here. They've got some momentum, but I'm gonna pick Campbell. All right, our next game in the ASUN CFC Challenge is North Carolina A&T 1-6 at number 12, Alabama A&M 5-2. Like we said, Alabama A&M is on a 5-game winning streak, just reeling off impressive win after impressive win, and doing it against very tough competition as well. And so they will host a team that's been struggling this season. A&T is their only win is against 0-7 Presbyterian, who will come up later in this list. Their one win. They've lost all the 6 other games, including a loss to another ASUN team, Chattanooga, in week 2. So we'll get into picks here. Ampersand won't pick because it's his game. Slolo picks Alabama A&M, and whenever I think about it, this seems pretty lopsided. I'm gonna have to go with Alabama A&M. I don't like to speculate on whether things will be a blowout or if it'll be a close game, or try to guess how the game will go. But as far as the winner, I have a hard time believing that an upset will happen here. So I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs, and that's another sweep. All right. Up next is a ranked opponent from the CFC, number 17, Western Carolina at Alabama State. And so this will be a good test for Turk and the Hornets as they get to host a big-time opponent. Western Carolina may be the biggest surprise in all of fake football this season. They started off really crushing some teams, scoring 66 points in week 2 against William & Mary. They scored 51 in a loss to Furman, 49 in a loss to Delaware State. They scored 74 in a 40-point win over North Carolina Central, and they scored 50 against South Carolina State. They are just completely rolling on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense, as you would expect, is struggling on the flip side of that coin, but they're a top 25 team this season so far, and a tough out for sure. On the other hand, Alabama State, they got out to a big start, 2-0, but have since lost 5 in a row, and against not the best competition. So yeah, let me pull up the picks for this. Ampersand picks Western Carolina. Slolo picks Alabama State. And I'm going to pick Western Carolina as well. I think, I thought they were a fluke early on in the season, but, they've come back and shown that they can win some more games. So I'm going to go with the Catamounts from Kaloe, North Carolina, to beat Alabama State. So no sweep this time. Next game on the list, number 1, Bethune-Cookman playing host to Junie at North Carolina Central. Really looking forward to this game. Junie's got his memes, and they can make for some crazy games. So this will be definitely something you'll want to tune into. And we'll see if Pello can win his 8th game in a row. He's his games have been a little bit closer. He started off blowing people out, but his last 3 games have all been wins by 10 or less. I don't know if you can really glean anything from that information, but at least they're getting closer. But he has been completely dominant. North Carolina Central started out highly touted. They were a top 10 team for most of the first part of the season and started out 4-0, but they've been reeling ever since. They've lost 3 straight games to Southern Illinois, the aforementioned Western Carolina, and Charleston Southern. So, the defense is really lacking for NC Central. They give up 52 points a game, and it's it's not a favorable matchup, I would say. But BC looks poised to take that next step and go 8-0. So ampersand picks Bethune-Cookman. Slow picks Bethune-Cookman. I've got the broom out, but I'm not going to use it. This may be a foolish pick of mine, but I'm going to go with the Eagles at North Carolina Central. I think Junie's just taken too big of a beat in the last 3 weeks, and there's sort of this predictable unpredictability. I know it's a complete contradiction, but I think you got to lose at some point, and I think Bethune-Cookman will lose at some point. That won't derail his season or anything, but I think it will happen, and it might happen here. So I think Junie provides an uncomfortable challenge here and may be able to knock off number 1. So I'm going with North Carolina Central. Our next game, Charleston Southern heads over to Chattanooga, Tennessee. These two teams are both 4-3. Charleston Southern has been kind of hot lately. They're 4-0 in conference and lead their division. 0-3 out of conference. So we'll see if they can turn things around. Outside of CFC play. And they're playing a Chattanooga team who has had a promising season so far. I know there have been some disappointing results lately against Campbell and Alabama A&M for the Mocs, but they've already shown some success and have had some big wins so far already this year. So this will be a really fun game against two pretty evenly matched teams by how the metrics see it. So we'll go ahead and get right into the picks. Ampersand picks Charleston Southern. Slow picks Chattanooga. And I gotta go with Charleston Southern. I was making out my picks, and I have trouble believing that the ASUN, even with their really strong out of conference showing so far, will continue it even in week 8. I believe I have us having a winning record here in week 8, but I think we're going to lose some, and I think Charleston Southern is just hot right now, so it'll be tough for Chattanooga to beat that. So I'm picking Charleston Southern. Our next game is Furman at Florida A&M. So Florida A&M, after starting 3-0, has lost 4 in a row. They've all come against really good teams, though. 3 teams in the top 20 of composite: Mercer, Stetson, and Kennesaw State. So, they've gone up against the best and have fallen short. We'll see. Furman is 33 in composite, and so they will pose a formidable challenge here. And Furman is coming off a loss against Elon. They lost 18-15 last week, and they're 4-3, 3-1 in conference, and have a couple of big wins against Delaware and Western Carolina. So Furman has a pretty impressive resume for a 4-3 team, and this will be a tough test for Slolo. And so, um, getting right into the picks, Ampersand picks Florida A&M. Slolo cannot pick because this is his game, and I'm gonna go with Furman. I think that Furman is just. I look at that Delaware win, and I look at that Western Carolina win, and they've just got just such an impressive resume that I think they can continue. Nothing against Florida A&M, but they're just reeling, and it's easy to bet on a streak to end, but sometimes they don't, and so um, I think this will be a fun, close, interesting game, and when it comes down to it, anybody can win, but I'm gonna go with the Paladins to win this and get the CFC another win. Our next game, Elon at Jacksonville. Jacksonville coming off the loss to Bethune-Cookman. Elon just beat Furman last week, and Elon is 4-3. They've won 3 in a row against Southern Utah, Davidson, and Furman. So, those are all top 50 teams. They're 22 in composite. They've got a strong resume. They don't score a lot, but they don't give up a lot of points either. So, Elon is rebounded and has a chance to make some noise moving forward. On the other hand, Jacksonville has gone 2-2 in their last 4 games after starting 0-3. They've proven they can hang with the best of them. So Ampersand will pick Jacksonville. Slolo picks Jacksonville, and I'm getting the broom out. Jacksonville's going to win this one too. I think Purple is just been a really good coach this season. Not talking about the results, but just they've been so close in every game that I think that deviation to the mean, whatever the right word is, I think they're going to break through, and it's the same thing I've said every week. Jacksonville's better than their record, and I think they're gonna take care of business here and beat Elon and get the A-Sun a big win over a team that's got a better record than them. So I look forward to that. Next is Jacksonville State traveling to Gardner-Webb. So these are two teams that of coaches that I know played last year and were both present in the playoff picture. I know, and Gardner-Webb, I know they've been a little bit disappointed maybe in how they've played, but they make some pretty darn good recaps on Wednesdays. After starting 1-3, they've won 3 in a row. The Bulldogs, one of those wins being over Jacksonville, another A-Sun team, and Jacksonville State has sort of found its way back, rebounding. They've broke a 2-game skid with a win over ETSU last week, but they still haven't shown us much as far as being able to win a complete game against a decent team yet. They have a win over Incarnate Word early in the season, but other than that, they've struggled in their other big games. So this should be another tightly contested game. I'm telling you, this slate of A-Sun CFC games, it's Camel scheduled these at the beginning of the season. I think he did a really good job of matching these up, and they've ended up being pretty evenly matched games. So Ampersand Ampersand goes with Jacksonville State. Slolo goes with Jacksonville State, and I'm going to go with Gardner Webb. Yeah. Matt versus Michael. I'm going to go with Michael. All right, our next game is my game, so I won't be picking, but I'll still give a little overview. The Citadel has been one of the worst teams in the FCS this season. They're not the worst team in their conference, that would be Presbyterian, but they are near the bottom in just about everything. They won their first game of the season against Robert Morris, and they haven't won since. I'm happy to be 6-1 this season. I feel like I'm having a really strong season, but this is also a revenge game because I played the Citadel in week 2 of last season and lost. I believe it was 22-17. So I don't know who the coach at the Citadel is, but I feel pretty ready to avenge a loss and keep rolling here and go hopefully 4-0 out of conference. So Ampersand picks Kennesaw State, Slolo picks Kennesaw State, and I am not picking. So that's 2 for 2 sweep for ASUN there. Next we have number 21 Mercer at South Carolina State. South Carolina State has had a little bit of success early on. They start out 3-1, but have since lost 3 in a row. They've been very average this season, very middle of the road. I'm not really sure what to make of their season so far. But Mercer has, on the other hand, has been very impressive. Their 2 losses are to Alabama A&M and Bethune-Cookman, both top 10 teams, and they've taken care of business elsewhere, winning 5 games. And so I feel like this is a little bit of a mismatch here. Mercer is really strong, and I don't think an upset will happen here. So Ampersand picks Mercer, Slolo picks Mercer, and I'm going to pick Mercer as well. They're just too strong, and I don't know enough about South Carolina State to really show any confidence with them. Next we have Samford versus Davidson. Davidson was ranked earlier in the year and has a history of being a moderately decent team, on the fringe of the rankings most of the time. Samford needs to get back on the horse. They need to get back to winning ways, but Davidson has been a strong team. So Ampersand picks Davidson, Slolo picks Samford, and I'm going to go with Davidson as well. Yeah. Davidson had a 2-game slide in weeks 5 and 7 against Towson and Elon, but they've taken care of all their other games, and so they're 5 and 2. Yeah. So I feel pretty good about that pick. And then our final game on the list for the ASUN CFC Challenge, we have number 15 Stetson at 5 and 2 facing Presbyterian 0 and 7. Stetson has struggled lately. They lost to Kennesaw State, had a big win against Northern Colorado, and but last week's game against Campbell was it wasn't encouraging to see their offense falter like that. Campbell is a great team, but their defense is not the best, and you should be able to move on Campbell, and they just didn't. They turned the ball over, and so that's a little worrying. What is good though is that Presbyterian is I feel like I can say pretty confidently that Presbyterian is the worst team in to FCS. They're 0-7. They're 128 in composite. They've lost every game, and not really by a close margin. They average losing by 11 points a game, and they haven't played any good teams to lose to. Like the best team they've played is Davidson, sitting at 40 in composite. So, um, yeah, Stetson has been struggling. It worries me a little bit, but I don't have any reservations picking them here. It's going to be a clean sweep. Ampersand picks Stet. Slolo picks Stet, and I'm going to pick Stetson as well. The Hatters will prevail here. Now we're going to move on to the two games that are not in the challenge. ETSU and UNA played their games in week 2, and since there are 14 teams in the ASUN and 12 in the CFC, we can't have them all play. There's a mismatch there. So these two games were auto-scheduled, and so East Tennessee State will travel to Western Illinois. Western Illinois is 2-5 on the season in the Missouri Valley Conference. ETSU has lost a lot recently. They're 3-0 out of conference. On the they're 3-0 out of conference, which bodes well. But they just haven't shown a lot of activity lately, and there's serious causes for concern there for the Buccaneers. Western Illinois faced Mercer at the beginning of the season and choked away a lead. So they have played ASUN teams before, and so this is a game where it's just tough to get a read on both of these teams. Neither of them have performed really well, and you don't really know what their strengths are yet. But if that tells me anything, it tells me that they'll fight it out, and they may be pretty equally matched. So for the picks, Ampersand picks ETSU, Slolo picks ETSU, and I'm going with Western Illinois. I think Nut has, I don't know, maybe Nut's got some other things going on. I know busy is busy. It's tough to overcome that in real life is more important. But I think Western Illinois might have something here. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to pick ETSU as well. I just remembered that Western Illinois' coach resigned last week, and they'll have a new coach this week. I remember them playing Chase, and they were down 30-0, and they just quit. So, yeah, I'm changing my pick. It's going to be a clean sweep. ETSU, 3 for 3 there. We're all picking them. And then the final game. Arkansas Pine Bluff 3-4 at North Alabama 3-4. Arkansas Pine Bluff, I believe he's one of the slower players in the league. They just snapped a 4-game losing streak by beating Alcorn State 40-34 last week. North Alabama has really seen a good bounce back. Like I've said, it seems like most of these teams, they're either in a losing streak or they're in a winning streak. They're bouncing back from a poor start. Everybody's just kind of moving back to the equilibrium. This will be a game. I guess I can say that. North Alabama has had 2 wins. There is some cause for concern because their last 2 wins have been against ETSU and Alabama State. Both of those are in the 100s in composites. So I guess the good thing here is that Arkansas Pine Bluff kind of fits that mold. So North Alabama's only chance now is to win the division. So this game really doesn't matter to them, but I know that they're hungry and ready to win. So for the Lions here, it's going to be another clean sweep. Ampersand picks UNA, Slolo picks UNA, and I pick UNA. So I think the Lions will prevail here. Um, the North Alabama Lions, that is. I think UAPB is I think they're the Lions as well, but I can't remember. Um, but yeah, that's the Week 8 slate coming up. If any of you were paying attention, yes, Slolo did pick all ASUN teams, and that's definitely going to happen. You can take his word for it. Feel free to call him out on the Discord for his bias, but don't get mad when it happens. Um, it's been a pleasure recording this by myself, and if you made it this far, I thank you for listening. I'm gonna go to bed now, and you guys have fun playing Week 8 in fake football across the land. So thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Please give me any feedback, and you guys have a good week. Thanks a lot.